It's 5 on September 8, 2025. In the Kharkiv Valley, Ukrainian command screens flare with red icons, hundreds of Russian tanks and launchers pushing hard across the line. Sirens wail. Crews dive into trenches, tankers, slam hatches, and HIMARS units crank launch rails skyward. A heartbeat later, Russian rockets tear through the sky, pounding ridges and villages. Fireballs roll, dirt rains down, radios scream with overlapping calls. Then, the order hits every headset. Launch the swarm. Hidden bunkers burst open as thousands of FPV drones roar into the dawn, each with a shape charge meant to rip through armor. Overhead, a Bayraktar circles, painting targets, feeding live data. Operators tighten their grip, eyes fixed on flickering screens. For a frozen second, the valley holds its breath. Engines rise to a shrill roar. A single voice cuts in, "Strike on my mark." The swarm drops low, weaving hedges and smoke, pouring straight into the armored tide. In the Kharkiv Valley, every road, bridge, and strip of farmland ties back to Ukraine's survival. These lanes feed cities, move fuel, and carry grain that keeps the economy breathing. If they fall, it's not just soldiers who pay, it's families, shops, and allies who depend on Ukraine holding the line. On September 8th, Russia's Third Shock Army rolled forward with T-90 tanks, BMP infantry carriers, thermobaric launchers, and even hypersonic missiles waiting in reserve. Their goal was simple: smash Ukrainian defenses, split the valley in half, and open a direct route to Kharkiv. For Ukraine, failure here would trigger collapse beyond the battlefield. Insurance spikes, foreign trade dries up, shelves in Europe start running empty. More than land is at stake, credibility and trust hang in the balance. Can Ukraine blunt Russia's shock army with drones costing less than a tank's spare tread? Commanders believe so. Bayraktars map targets overhead. Abrams and Leopards take firing positions. HIMARS crews reload under pressure. Across the tree lines, FPV teams whisper into headsets, waiting for one word. This fight is raw steel against swarming circuits, brute force against speed and precision. The valley is set to decide which side breaks first. And here's where you weigh in. If you think heavy armor still rules the field, press 1 inch the comments. If you believe cheap drones are the true game changer, press 9. Either way, subscribe now so you don't miss the next clash. Both armies know what's at stake. For Russians, victory here could restore pride after months of failure. For Ukrainians, holding this valley proves that brains and grit can shatter brute force. Each drone launched, every shell fired, carries a larger message. The future of war is being written here, and the world is watching. 5:15. The first wave slams in. Russian rockets arc overhead and smash into the hills, flattening tree lines where Ukrainian infantry crouch in shallow pits. Dust boils up, lit by burning trucks and shattered APC. Spotters count dozens of columns pushing forward tank, BMP, and fuel carriers rolling without pause. Through the haze, the commander's voice cuts clean. Open fire! HIMARS crews launch first. Trails of flame rise and then blossom along the valley floor, scattering vehicles and torching convoys. The blasts buy minutes, but the columns keep grinding. That's when the swarm arrives. From covered fields, hundreds, then thousands of FPV claw into the air, small as birds, each with a shaped charge. Tank turrets swing wildly, cannons bark, but the drones are too quick. One after another. Detonations, punch engine decks, fuel caps, and hatches cheap hits that rip through million-dollar armor. Overhead, Bayraktar circle, beaming target grids to every gun and launcher. Abrams and Leopards dig in on ridgelines, their cannons hammering T-90. Bradleys shred BMP at mid-range, while infantry loose rockets from trench corners. The field becomes a storm of impacts. Drones diving, missiles streaking, guns pounding without pause. Russia answers fast. Panzer launchers spit missiles, swatting Bayraktars from the sky. Tor batteries track the densest clouds and shred dozens of FPV mid-air. Then the Krasuka lights up, flooding the spectrum. Control feeds flicker and freeze as operators fight to hold a link. But the swarm adapts on contact. Controllers hop frequencies, bounce packets through Starlink nodes, and push fresh waves into the air. Radios pop with overlapping calls. A new wave surges, threading smoke, skimming berms and ditches, darting between wrecks. Gunners fire short, cruel bursts to cover movement. Smoke rolls down slope, masking ridge positions as Ukrainian guns correct fire. Through the chaos, a gap opens on the Russian left, narrow, shifting, but real. The commander spots it, clenches the mic, and commits his reserves. Engines rise to a hunting howl. Tracks bite and heave. Ukrainian armor surges into the sliver, FPV riding shotgun along the flanks. If the breach widens now, the next phase belongs to them. If it closes, the line will snap. The second wave crashes in with brutal force. Russian batteries shift fire across ridges where Abrams and Leopards hold their ground. Trees splinter, dirt fountains rise, and the entire valley trembles under a storm of impacts. Fresh armored columns nose through the smoke, guided by their own drone spotters. The sound fuses into one endless roar. Ukrainian crews adapt instantly. Leopards fire, slide a few meters and fire again. Abrams reverse into cover, then surge forward for killing shots. Bradleys rake BMPs with streams of 25mm rounds. HIMARS lights up a road junction, an ammo truck erupts, and the convoy behind it collapses in flames. But Russian air defenses strike back. Pantsers spit missiles. Tor batteries cut down FPV mid-flight. The Krasuka floods the spectrum. Drone screens freeze. Signals snap and stutter. Some FPV tumble uselessly. Others push through and slam into engines, turrets, and fuel caps. Out of the haze, a wave of BMP charges forward. Thermobaric rockets smash into trenches, blasting soil skyward and flattening defenses. The line bends dangerously. Javelins arc high and plunge down. 2 BMP detonate, while machine guns chew the last carriers apart. Command shifts the defense a few degrees south, stealing seconds and forcing Russian gunners to re-aim. Mortars drop a curtain of fire to cover the move. Bayraktars circle above, relaying fresh targets. Fuelers, recovery rigs, even the jammers escort. FPV pivot mid-flight. Then, T-90 meters push in hard reactive armor sparking as Leopards and Abrams reply with piercing shots. Drones skim low, ducking blast cones, diving under skirts, striking weak points. The fight compresses to knife range. Smoke blinds optics, wrecks burn in every direction, and crews fire in violent bursts. This is raw brute force against a calculating swarm. If you believe armor will smash through, press 1" the comments. If you think the drone net holds the line, press 9 and subscribe to be here when the next strike lands. Fresh waves lift from hidden pads. FPV buzzing low through the haze. Operators clench controls, sweat dripping as screens flicker, then stabilize. Both armies now fight inside a storm of fire and steel, locked so close that survival hangs on seconds. Then the twist hits. From beyond the tree line, a new wave appears, smaller, faster, harder to track. Russian loitering munitions skim just meters above the ground, weaving through wrecks and smoke. Their sound is different, not the heavy roar of rockets, but a thin whine that radar barely catches and gunners struggle to follow. Ukrainian defenders sense it too late. This is a new tactic designed to tear open weak spots. FPV operators break off from their armored hunts, steering drones to intercept. Some collide head-on, detonating in violent mid-air blasts. Others miss by inches, vanishing into the haze. Abrams gunners elevate cannons, firing short bursts at fleeting shapes. Leopards pivot and rake the horizon with coaxial fire. For a moment, every weapon on the line is turned upward, chasing shadows across the sky. The commander reacts fast, pulling hidden assets into play. Short-range teams unmask positions, and Gepards rumble to life. Twin cannons track low and fast, carving loitering drones into fragments. Still, gaps remain. Several slip through and strike supply trucks, igniting fuel and scattering mechanics under showers of shrapnel. Medics hit the ground as secondary blasts roll across the rear. The pressure spikes everywhere. The familiar rhythm of armor versus swarm shatters. Now it is a layered storm tanks grinding forward, FPV clawing at their flanks, loitering drones hunting soft targets deep in the rear. Ukrainian defenses stretch thin. Every operator, gunner, and loader feels the weight. If this fresh wave isn't checked, the line may snap. For a moment, the battlefield hangs in uncertainty. The valley is no longer just armor and drones locked in a brutal duel. It has become a contest of adaptation itself. Each side is racing to learn faster, to strike sharper, to survive the storm breaking over Kharkiv Valley. The last wave closes in. Russian armor, drones, and rockets converge in a single crushing assault. T-90 meters grind forward under covering fire. Above, loitering munitions skim low, hunting gaps. The Ukrainian line braces every weapon hot, every operator spent. Abrams answer at point-blank range. Each shot rocks the hull, but crews keep loading and firing. Leopards swing fast, hitting flanks as Russian tanks angle in. Bradleys spit rapid fire, cutting down infantry riding the armor. HIMARS hammer rear echelons, blossoms of fire rippling across the night. Still, the enemy presses. Drones pour into trenches, detonating on bunkers. Operators launch new FPV, diving at turrets, crawling under skirts, slamming charges into rear plates. Each drone is a single-use bullet, yet together they stall the charge. Bayraktors keep circling, feeding coordinates as missiles rise to swat them down. Range collapses. Barrels depress. Autocannons scream. Machine guns hammer non-stop. Smoke blinds optics. Flames tower over wrecks. The fight shrinks to a knife edge. Russian tanks shove through burning hulks, reactive armor flashing. Every meter costs steel and blood. Ukrainian crews reload in seconds, firing into silhouettes through dust and fire. It looks like the line will fold. Then the counterstrike lands. FPV swarms dive in mass, saturating the front. 10, 20, 50 drones slam home, cracking turrets and torching engines. A T-90 meters bursts, then another, then a third. Momentum falters. The spearhead staggers under the storm of hits. The valley shakes with overlapping detonations. Crews shout over radios. Medics drag men from burning hulls. Mechanics sprint into chaos to patch survivors back into the fight. Seconds are the currency, and each is paid for twice. Steel and swarm collide without pause. If you think brute armor can still break through by sheer force, press 1 the comments. If you think the swarm proved that speed and brains beat steel, press 9 and subscribe now to follow the war's next turn. The final bursts echo. The last drone detonates. For the first time, the horizon starts to clear. Silence doesn't mean safety. It only means the battle is ready to turn the page. Result: the Russian 3rd Shock Army lies shattered in the Kharkiv Valley. Dozens of T-90 meters smolder across the fields. BMPs litter the trenches, and supply trucks burn like torches. The cost in steel and men is staggering. Ukraine's losses are real. Tanks crippled, crews wounded, operators drained, but the swarm held. The valley did not fall. For Russia, this defeat is more than battlefield failure. Billions in armor and weapons lie wrecked. Morale sinks deeper, and the myth of unstoppable armored pushes cracks again. For Ukraine, the message is just as sharp. Cheap drones, guided by grit and quick thinking, can stop heavy steel. $1 million tank can be undone by a drone costing less than a family car. Strategically, the impact ripples outward. Insurance markets brace, allies take notice, and planners rewrite doctrines overnight. Every nation watching sees how the math of war is shifting. Brute force bleeds against networks of small, smart, expendable machines. What held true for Kharkiv today may reshape every battlefield tomorrow, but the victory is not final. Both sides adapt. Russia will look for ways to harden armor, jam signals, strike deeper. Ukraine will push for more swarms, faster relays, stronger integration with armor and artillery. The war becomes a contest not only of firepower, but of learning speed who adapts faster lives to fight again. Tonight, Ukraine held the valley. The road to Kharkiv remains closed. Yet silence after battle is never peace. It is the pause before the next escalation. The real question is not whether this defense worked, but how both sides will change for the next clash. And that's where I want your take. If you think Russia will double down with heavier fire and break through next time, press 1 the comments. If you think Ukraine's swarm tactics will keep rewriting the battlefield, press 9 and subscribe so you're here when the next chapter unfolds.